Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on what time zone you are tuning in from. And as always, I'm excited to welcome you to the last trading day edition of the Forex Morning Mastery. And of course, today, as always, being the last trading day of the week, we are going to be looking at how well the assets we've been monitoring since the beginning of the week have been doing. And of course, we are going to be using the historical data we can find on the chart, coupled with fundamental factors to strategically position ourselves for the next move today. And most importantly, we are going to be taking into account the fact that today is the last trading day of the week, where it is psychologically expected that market participants will be doing some risk trimming and, of course, potential trading profit taking activities as they round off their trading activities for the week. And as a result, we may likely see reversal setups along the line, which we are going to be taking into account while we review the current market structure. So if you're a fan of any of the assets we're monitoring for this week, which includes the US All Spot, the USDJPY, and of course the XAUUSD, you do want to be staying tuned in, as you do not want to miss out on any of the ideas we will be deliberating on today. Now, with that said, here we shall be diving in. But before I do, welcome to everyone who are joining us for the first time. So, if you're here for the first time, I'm very excited to have you around with me this morning. And my own name is Sheriff Daramola. And what we simply do on the Forex Morning Mastery is to 3 times in a week come together as a community to see how we can manage our existing positions if we do have any, and of course strategically position ourselves for that particular day. So you are highly welcome on board, and I encourage you to actively engage in the comment section. And along the line, if you have found this content helpful and useful in making your own independent trading decisions for today, be kind enough to click on the like button. I would really appreciate that. It goes a long way in inspiring me to continue to do more. And that aside, it also helps the algorithm to push the video to a wider audience of traders who may find the content beneficial. So let's make the like tally with the number of people that viewed this video. So with that said, here let's dive right in. And of course, the first thing we normally do, of course, is to keep tabs with the fundamental factors around the US dollar. The US dollar is a very, very important currency asset, which obviously influences how the assets we are monitoring are going to be doing. And of course, there is no way you want to be trading any of the assets I talked about, that is the US All Spot, the Japanese yen, and the gold commodity, without really understanding what is going on in the US dollar market. Now, as it is right now, to be candid, we are at a very critical juncture in this market where anything around this area is going to be determined whether we are going to the upside or we likely going to the downside. And of course, the US dollar is working in a delicate stage right now, caught between weak economic data, growing rate cut bets, and of course, investors are very, very cautious ahead of key inflation numbers, which is coming up later today. And of course, if you look at the economic calendar, we can see here that the core PCE data is coming in by 12:30 p.m. UTC. That's about 1:30 p.m. local time. And of course, the US core PCE is considered to be one of the Fed's preferred inflationary gauge data. So it depends on how this is going to be playing out. from what we have here, you can see that the expectation is a little bit higher than the previous month. The previous month was at break even, and economists are projecting that we might likely see a core PCE that stands at 0.1%. So the question is, will this be the case? Will the data come in higher or lower than market had expected? If it comes in higher, that will be good news for the US dollar. And if it comes in lower, we may likely see a contraction in the US dollar. Now, besides this, what are really the influential factors around the US dollar? So prior to the beginning of this week, we saw the US dollar gain some significant traction. I think we talked about this on Wednesday. And since Wednesday's trading session, you will see that the price of the US dollar had dropped significantly back into an important structure. Remember, we were looking at a descending channel at the beginning of the week where we saw price broke out of that resistant line of that descending channel. You saw what happened here at the beginning of the week. Then we can see price has retraced back into that resistant line of the descending channel. So the question here is, will price maintain traction? Will this be a retest of structure to continue the uptrend, or will price drop back within the descending channel to incite a sell-off today? Now, let's talk about what has been the major influence around this decline we saw in the last 48 hours. Now, from the economic calendar, we saw what happened here on Thursday, where we were all looking forward to the gross domestic product annualized for Q1. And from expectations, market participants were expecting a contraction of about 0.3% in the economy, as it happened during the previous quarter. But we saw a deficit of 0.2% on Thursday. Even though slightly better than the forecast, is still a contraction, which is not really a very good figure for the US economy. So as a result of this, investors are not willing to put their funds in the US dollar. Then besides this, the initial jobless claim count that came in on Thursday showed that the figures jumped from 226,000 in the previous month to 240,000. So this simply means that more people filed for unemployment than the week before, which shows that the labor sector is not looking very good. Unemployment has increased, and this is not a good signal for the US dollar. Now, this signals, all of these factors here signals a cooling economy at the moment, which tends to weaken the US dollar because it increases the chances of the Federal Reserve cutting interest rate anytime soon. And of course, we have talked about this in the past, where we mentioned the market speculations about the Federal Reserve interest rate cut, where the market is starting to expect the Fed might cut rates soon to support the weakening economy. And of course, when rate cuts are expected, the US dollar usually loses value because lower rates reduces investors' return on USD based assets. So the dollar at the moment, the US dollar market is not really doing very well. And to further add salt to injury is the recent trade tariff tension reigniting again. So was it yesterday or Wednesday, a US court reinstated Trump's tariff situation, stirring market uncertainty again, and this risk of sentiment resulted in that decline of the US dollar to the downside. Now that we are at a critical juncture in the market, will this momentum continue to the downside, or are we going to see a little bit of market participants trying to buy a cheaper US dollar today? And if they are going to do so, definitely we need some fundamental factors that will give them hopes or give them a leverage to bank on. And of course, today being Friday, and of course, the anticipation of the US PCE report, it is a traditional thing that traders, market participants reposition themselves ahead of this economic data today, which is considered to be a key inflation gauge for the Federal Reserve. Now, this may likely, please note my word, this may likely create short-term US dollar demand as traders hedge their risk to reduce exposure ahead of the release of this economic data. So what's the timing again? We are looking at 12:30 p.m. UTC. That's about 1:30 p.m. UTC. Now, in global risk-off sentiments, the US dollar can benefit as a safe haven, especially versus weaker currencies like emerging market peers. But this effect is limited today due to poor US data. But if the outcome of the core PCE comes in strong, we may likely see an expansion in the value of the US dollar. Then there are some things that we also need to take note, especially as we head into the weekend, and which relate to other assets that we are monitoring. For instance, the USOILSPOT OPEC Plus meeting is coming up on Saturday, that is tomorrow, and this is a high volatility risk situation. And with that scenario, we need to be very, very careful of how we trade this market. So today is going to be more of profit taking and risk trimming session, and not the time to chase big moves late into the weekend. But if we have the chance, we will definitely capitalize on them. So what we are going to be doing today, as always, is to look out for areas where it has a high potential to either buy or sell. We are looking at a short-term perspective in the meantime, but if the move moves very big, then we will be glad to be part of the particular move. So that is basically what we are going to be doing today as we delve into this particular market. So with that said here, and with this info, let's dive right into the assets we are monitoring and see what it's looking like and how we can strategically position ourselves for the next move. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section and help in that regard. So I see your comment, Mansurul Ol Hassan. Mansur says, good morning to you. I'm doing very well. He says, I can't hear you, though my speakers are good. I checked some songs over that too. Oh, really? My indicators on my dashboard here are saying otherwise. I'm very surprised that is at the moment. Please, I would love to hear from others who are watching. Can you hear my voice loud and clear? Please, let's confirm this and be on the same page. Because my indicators here are showing that my sound is very good. Or do you want me to increase the... I think it's to the highest already. Hold on a second. Let me see. It's to the highest here already. It's to the highest here already. Please let me know. I want to hear from others in the comment section what it is sounding like from their end, as I do not want to tamper with anything here unless we get some feedback. So I look to hear from you. Mansour, I still want to hear from you as well. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. So I guess I would have to move the microphone closer to my mouth then. So I just hope that it's better now. I hope it's better now. I just moved it closer to my mouth. I think it should be okay. If you please let me know in the comment section, please. Okay. So, with that said, let's move right into the main instrument we are monitoring. Can we? Is it better now, Mansour? Is it better? Please let me know, please. Okay, so while I wait for your feedbacks, I will continue and let me. So, the next asset we are looking at this morning is going to be the USOILSPOT. And this is an interesting asset which we have. We've been able to capture some significant moves through the course of the week. Only for yesterday, we witnessed a very massive decline in the price of USOILSPOT, which is could be attributed to tariff confusions at the moment, where the US court temporarily allowed Trump's sweeping tariffs to proceed at the moment, and this is shaking global trade confidence and hurting risk sentiment, which indirectly pressures oil prices. So we saw the price of oil drop significantly yesterday. Then the market is on hedge at the moment as OPEC Plus prepare to meet tomorrow, Saturday, and potentially increase oil supply ahead of the month of July, which is one narrative they've been pushing out in the last couple of months, while also dealing with members who have been overproducing, like Kazakhstan. So more oil supply in the market definitely lowers prices if demand doesn't match up with the supply. Then we also have a weak U.S. economy, where we saw the gross domestic product analyzed for quarter one coming at a deficit of 0.2%, which is a red flag for oil demand. The U.S. oil is the second largest consumer. Is it the first or second largest consumer of oil in the world? And if the economy is not doing very well, it's definitely a red flag for oil demand, as slower economic activity often means less fuel consumption. Now, due to this factor, we see oil prices fell, and will this bearish move we saw yesterday continue into the weekend, or are we going to be seeing some buying activities happening, considering the fact that oil prices appear to be cheap at this point in time? Now, looking at the 4 hours time frame, this was the structure we were looking at the beginning of the week, where oil price continued to maintain momentum above this ascending trend line since the beginning of this month of May. And of course, we had a support line along the $60 area, which is yet to be broken throughout this month. And look at what happened despite that strong bearish momentum we saw yesterday. We saw that as soon as price got into that $60 level, we begin to notice buy pressure resume again. And this buy pressure here, this support line at the $60 level, is further supported by the drawdown in the US crude oil inventory that was reported yesterday. We saw an unexpected 2.8 million drop for the previous week, which usually signals strong oil demand from the US economy and will definitely support oil prices. So maybe market participants could see this as an opportunity to buy the USOILSPOT at this point in time. Now, when I scaled down into the lower time frame, I was able to identify a structure that we can actually use to help us navigate this market today. Though I have missed out on a very significant move at the moment, and I'm currently waiting to see if price will come back and retest that structure for me to be part of the scenario. Now, scaling down into the 15 minutes time frame. So this is the 15 minutes time frame you see here, and we saw how significantly that bearish move happened. Price dropped into the $60 area, and look at what we saw. since throughout the Asian session, the selling momentum was stalled. Price went into a consolidation phase. We saw price trapped within the $60.45 level and the $60.20 area, to emphasize some prevailing uncertainty at that particular point in time. And you know how we treat our range bound structure. Whenever we identify them, we know that there is a negotiation ongoing between buyers and sellers, and whosoever will win will give us a signal in the form of price either breaking out of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or break down the support line to signal selling ideas. Now, this is where I missed the move. So by the time I was marking out the structure, this move just happened. We saw this massive bullish move out of the structure to the upside, and currently price has moved over 55 pips in that direction, which makes me doubtful of jumping in front of a moving trend at this point in time. So I was considering the potential that price maybe come back to retest the structure that was broken, but it appears this is not going to be happening anytime soon. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to look out for new structures that can help us be part of that uptrend move. And one of the important structures on this chart is this ascending trend line we spotted on the 4 hours time frame. Remember, let me show you again so we can all be on the same page. We talked about this ascending trend line, which had played a significant role in directing the uptrend scenario in the oil market since the beginning of this month. Now, the fact that price still remains above that ascending trend line continues to support the bullish buyers at this point. So going back into the 15 minutes time frame, are we going to find a consolidation or any form of structure around that ascending trend line that could support the uptrend continuation? Now let's zoom into the structure. Let's look at what is going on here. So that is the trend line there, the PC on your screen. Then we had a little bit of consolidation happen. We can see the support line of that range bound structure here. Then we had another, we had the resistance line somewhere around here. So all of this consolidation you see here, let me give it a different color. So all of this consolidation you see here is happening right around that ascending trend line, and it appears we have a breakout, though this candle still has about 7 to 8 minutes to close. So will this be a false breakout? We don't know yet. So we are going to wait patiently to see how the market reacts to that. So if it turns out to be a false breakout, this could incite a move that could bring price back into the structure I was talking about earlier to help us join that uptrend continuation. Now, it is not all the time price comes back into structure to retest it. Of course, it's not all the time. So what I'm going to do here is to see if price drops back below this support, this resistance line. Let me mark it out. So we are talking about the $60.92 level, right? So the $60.92 level, right? What happened? Okay, $60.92 level. Is it there now? It's still not there. I wonder what's going on here. Okay, it's there now. So $60.92 level. Let's see if the market will come back below it or come back to retest the structure. Then I can place a buy order around that area. Now, if it drops below the $60.70 level, then we could be seeing a move back into the structure that was broken earlier. So I will not be selling here yet. I will just wait and see price drop back into that structure, that is this trend line or the $60.45 level, to continue the uptrend move. So that is what I will be looking at basically, though the scenario is looking bullish at this point in time. In fact, the idea that US crude oil inventory unexpectedly dropped by 2.8 million barrels for last week is a strong signal that demand is gradually increasing, and investors will see this as a doorway or an opportunity to start buying. So I'm leaning towards an uptrend scenario on this one. So let's see if the market will drop back around the $60.92 level. Then I will be willing to join a buy if it climbs back above that structure. But if it drops down, then I will wait for price to come within the $60.45 level and the $60.30 area, where I will be looking for a form of reversal setup to continue that uptrend move. Now, in as much as I am leaning towards an uptrend scenario, we need to be also objective and consider the potentials that sellers can also come in. Of course, the last 24-30 hours have seen sellers gain some traction, and if that is going to continue, what are the areas we will be looking out for to be really convinced that sellers may likely push price further to the downside? Well, for me to see price drop down and feel more convinced that sellers have taken over the market, I will want to see price drop below this descending trend line. And that will show me that, okay, at this point, it appears that buyers are not strong enough to push further up. So I would like to see price break down, retest the $20 level before I can start considering selling. So that is a simple structure we have here on the US Oil Spot. So let's see how the market will play out. So right now, the next asset on our watch list. Stay tuned in, guys. Okay, I hear you, Mansoor. I hear you. I hear you. The team is working on ensuring that this is not the case again. So we observe that here. So we are working on ensuring that the stream will stop lagging. So with time, you will begin to see a better flow of picture frame. So please bear with us, okay? All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, right? So with that said here, let's move into the next asset on our watch list. Stay tuned in. So the next asset we are looking at is the USDJPY, and currently, or let me say the last 24-30 hours, we've seen the Japanese yen get a little bit stronger because prices in Japan are staying high. The inflation is quite high in Japan at the moment. People are still spending money, and traders are worried about the US tariff situation. And of course, all this is making investors think Japan's central bank might raise interest rates sooner or later. So anyone trading USDJPY will definitely be paying close attention to the fundamentals around this particular market. Now, before we go into the technicalities of today's trading session, let's quickly run through what we were looking at the beginning of the week and what the situation was before today's session. Now, at the beginning of the week, we saw a little bit of consolidation between the key level at the 143.00 area and of course the support line at the 142.350. And of course, this whole consolidation was happening at a crucial juncture, which is the resistance line of that descending channel. And of course, we were all anticipating the breakout of that descending channel thanks to the postponement of the 50% tariffs on European goods by Trump during the weekend stroke Monday session, which gave the dollar a little bit of hope, and we saw that significant move breaking out both the resistant line of the descending channel, broke out the key level, and it continued to rise all the way into the 146.250 area. That was yesterday morning before we saw price retrace back into another crucial juncture around the 143.750. Now, this retracement we see here could be attributed to an increased core CPI data from the Japanese economic docket. Now, remember we were anticipating the CPI data for yesterday from the Japanese economic docket. We saw a 3.6% increase in the beating all expectations at 3.6, higher than the previous month, which was at 3.4, and the expectations, which was pegged at 3.5%. Now, inflation has stayed above the Bank of Japan's 2% target for 3 straight years, signaling potential for more rate hikes from the Bank of Japan. Then also we saw a strong retail trade data. We saw a 3.3%, which was higher than expectation and of course higher than the previous month data. And this shows that consumers' spending remains solid and high, a key support for economic growth and policy tightening. Now, this has further increased the expectation that the Bank of Japan will increase interest rate. And when we're talking about wages, there is high wages in the Japanese economy at the moment, and wages are expected to boost consumption, increase pressure on the Bank of Japan to normalize rates, and of course the production sector in Japan is also doing very well. So Japan is in a very, very good spot at the moment, and this resulted in some profit-taking activities around the USDJPY. Now, the question now is this profit-taking activity ended? For me, this is more like a retracement of the previous impulse leg. And has it ended? And is it time for us to continue the uptrend scenario? And to further buttress this, does the dollar have a chance? Well, in as much as the expectation of interest rate increase in Japan is very, very high, the Bank of Japan is still sounding very skeptical about this. So despite high inflation, the Bank of Japan is saying they may hold off on any rate hikes due to global uncertainty, especially trade tensions involving the United States. Then, ahead of the PCE inflation data, it is expected that can you see me? Can you hear me? I just saw my camera went off. Okay, I think it's back on. Okay, so it is expected that traders will be repositioning in favor of the dollar ahead of the core PCE, which could briefly lift the USDJPY at this point in time. So with that said here, I begin to notice that a consolidation was going on between the end of the New York session yesterday and of course the Asian session this morning, and this resulted in this beautiful consolidation phase we have right here. Of course, you can see the last 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 hours I've seen price action confined within the 144.100 level and the 143.750 area to emphasize the prevailing uncertainty ahead of today's core PCE report. And if we look at this consolidation, it's happening at a crucial juncture. This was an area where the second leg of the bullish momentum started during the midweek. We're seeing price back into the structure, though it is yet to break above that area. And of course, if price can break above this 144.100 area, I have a very strong belief that the momentum will continue to the upside. Now, to further support this bullish idea from a technical standpoint is the character of the candles at the support line of the range bound structure. Look at this candle here. We have a huge hammer candle, which theoretically tells us that buyers are still present in the market. Then secondly, you will see that price had broken above this descending trend line for the supporting the idea that the US dollar may be on the verge of continuing that uptrend it started this week. Now, for the fact that price still remains above the trend line, and of course we have this kind of candles which shows that buyers are still present in the market, then to top it off we have something that looks like a inverse head and shoulder pattern, which turns out to be a potent reversal pattern, where the trend line here is serving as the neckline of that reversal pattern. And for this reversal pattern to be valid, we will need price to break out, retest the neckline to continue the uptrend move. So for me, I placed my buy stop order above the 144.100 area, which if you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see that my buy position on the USDJPY is currently running at this point. Though it's in a loss, but it's still running, and hopefully price will be maintained above the structure. And secondly, I also have a sell position which was triggered at the breakdown of the 143.750. So we are still in a dilemma right now. We don't know which way price action is going to go. Whichever case it may be, I have my stop losses in place. So for my buy, I want my stop loss to be way below the support line here. So I'll just do that right away. And so I'm looking at having my stop loss for the buy at the 143.690 level. We did right now. And of course, the stop loss for sell is around the 144.200 area. So I'm leaning towards a bullish sentiment around the structure based on what I'm seeing now. But if we get taken out of the buy position, a breakdown retest of the 143.750 will confirm bearish idea. So that is what I'm looking at. The simple range bound structure let's see how the market will play out. And of course, if anything new comes up, I will be updating us accordingly on my Telegram platform. So I hope I made myself very clear, but if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I'll take another 5-10 seconds off. Let's see if there are any questions, while you can also use that time to mark out the structures accordingly, as we are going to be needing it as a reference point to help us navigate this market today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I guess we are all on the same page. I hope you've marked out the structures accordingly as we have illustrated. So I guess we'll have to move on to the final asset on our watch list. So the final asset we are looking at is my favorite, the gold commodity, popularly known as the XAUUSD. And of course, though I've done very well on the XAUUSD this week, but yesterday I had to take some couple of losses prior to the New York session yesterday, before I stopped trading the XAUUSD due to the extended sideways trading activities I saw during the New York session. Now, besides that, the week has been very, very good. And if you look at the market currently, gold is staying around the 3,300 area, which has lasted about 8 hours. Now look at it. Is it 8 hours? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 8 hours. The last 8 hours, we've seen price action consolidate around the 3,300 area, because market participants are trying to figure out three things. One is the tariff tensions. There is uncertainty about taxes on imports, which could shake up the economy and push people to buy gold for safety. Then secondly, the Federal Reserve rate cut hope is very, very high at the moment. Some investors believe that US might lower interest rates soon, and which usually makes gold more attractive to buy. Then thirdly, inflation data is coming today. The US PCE is a core inflationary data, and of course rising prices is due soon, and traders are waiting to see if it will affect interest rate and the US dollar. So in short, people are not making big moves yet at the moment on gold. They are waiting to see what happens with the US taxes, interest rates, and of course inflation data before making any aggressive bet at this point in time. And this explains why we have this current range bound structure we are seeing in this market. Now, for those of you who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, I made an update this morning as regards to what structure we are going to be using to navigate this market today. And I think I identified this on the 15 minutes time frame, which captures the current sentiment in the market right now. Now, if you look at the 15 minutes time frame, we can see here that in the last 36 hours, the market had found some series of lower lows and lower highs, which results into this descending channel you'll see highlighted with the blue dotted line on your screen. Now, besides the descending channel is the fact that price action has been range bound for the last 6 hours now. Price has been confined within the 3,305 and the 3,290 level to further emphasize the prevailing uncertainty at this point in time. Of course, it is understandable. We are looking forward to the US core PCE, a very important economic event. And of course, majority would not want to be risking anything at this moment, waiting for the data to come in before making any aggressive bets. So with this range bound structure here, we will be exercising patience to see whether price will either break out of the resistant line to give us an opportunity to buy, or break down the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. Though I have a buy position running at the moment, I think I had that triggered earlier before the formation of this pattern, and I don't want to just close it anytime just like that, so I'll allow it to play out. But since we have a formation in place, let's wait and see how the market will react to the structure. Will it break down the 3,290, or will it maintain momentum above the 3,290 to break the 3,305? Well, time will tell. And of course, the core PCE is coming in when? What time is that? 12:30 p.m. UTC, right? So 12:30 p.m. UTC. So that's about 3 to 4 hours from now. So we look forward to see what the market will be looking like, maybe about an hour or 30 minutes into that session. If there's anything new, I will definitely update us on my Telegram and TradingView platform. So I'm currently running a loss at the moment of about $9 in total from my XAUUSD USDJPY. So let's see what happens. I'm hopeful that today will end well. I wish us all the best of luck on the XAUUSD. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section, right? So I will take another 5-10 seconds off. Let's see if there are any questions before we start rounding off on today's Forex Money Mastery. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for those of you who had clicked on the like button. I really appreciate your support, and I look forward to those of you who are yet to do so to click on the like button right away. So thank you very much, guys. Let's see if there are any questions before we go ahead to round off on today's Forex Money Mastery. I see your comment, Mansoor. It says that you started online trading. Am I still doing online trading? I'm not sure I understand what you mean there. Okay, if I do, well, I just say I do online trading intermittently. So for instance, yesterday we were actually live here trading the XAUUSD. So intermittently, I do online trading when I do have that free time to show you how I execute my trades individually. So yes, I do online trading, but at the moment I don't have a fixed time yet, so I do it intermittently. So like yesterday I did it. Today I may likely trade today depending on how the market plays out. So just watch out for my notification. Click on the subscribe button. Click on there is a column beside subscribe button where you can click on get all my notifications. So when I'm doing my live trading, you will get a notification, and of course you can join me while I do it. So it's very likely I trade today. I will watch the market for about an hour 30 minutes prior to the New York session to determine if something I can actually scalp, and if it is, you will get a notification in that regard. So all right, you're very much welcome, and I also wish you the best of luck, Mansoor. So it's on this note, I guess we have come to the end of today's Forex Morning Mastery. It has been a great moment with you guys. I really appreciate every single time I spend with you. In fact, it inspires me to continue to do more as we support this project. So today we were able to attend to the 3 financial instruments that I'm monitoring for this week, which includes the USOILSPOT, the USDJPY, and of course the XAUUSD. And during the course of the session, we were able to understand the way market participants are thinking, and we were able to capture the sentiment in structural details on the chart. So we had simple structures that will be helping us navigate this market today. I do hope you mark them out as we have done. If you have done so, well done, kudos to you. So all we need to do right now is exercise patience and allow these structures to mature. And for those who in any way have missed out on this analysis, you can watch the replay of the session immediately at the end of the session. So stay tuned in. If you missed out on the US Oil and the USDJPY, you can still watch the replay immediately the session ends. Now, for those who joined us for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain 1 or 2 things from this session. If you have done so, I look forward to seeing more of you. The next session will be on Monday, same time, 8:30 a.m. UTC. That's 9:30 a.m. West African time, as we come here to start the week on a positive note. And I wish us all the best of luck. What else again? Yes, that reminds me, the Forex Market Prep is our Sunday sessions. We usually have a Sunday preparatory class before the new week where you can come and join us. It's a premium class. You can come and join us with a token of about $2 thereabout on a monthly basis. You can come and join us there on Sundays, where you can actually give or submit to me what asset you're planning to look at for the new week, and together we dissect the market, look at the fundamental factors and the technical factors to determine where we are going to be buying or selling, where our TP target is going to be, stop loss areas, and of course risk reward ratio on those trades. So join us on Sundays, Forex Market Prep, 6:30 p.m. UTC, to prepare for the new week. So it's on this note, I would like to wish us all the best of luck. Do have a wonderful evening. Do have a wonderful weekend. Trade smart, trade consciously, and I see you all on Sunday and Monday. Do have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.